Welcome to Thursday Thoughts, your weekly dose of real, honest conversation on all things personal growth. These are the chats Lucy and I love having every week over on Instagram. They're unfiltered, unedited, and always rooted in practical tools and a dose of inspiration. Let's dive in.
So I was just saying how we are talking this morning about the perils of social media, which is ironic because here I am on social media.
Yeah.
However, I know this is something that we talked about before, and we kind of ended up talking about this at the end of last week's Monday Motivation. And so we decided to talk about it again this morning because I just really feel like we are losing our freaking lives to social media and to screens in general. And I just thought it was worth having a conversation, not least for myself, because I think we just have to remember that when we're spending hours and hours on social media every day, we are living through somebody else's life. We're not actually living our goddamn lives. We're watching other people's lives. And a lot of the time, I think that not only are we not actually living our lives the more time we spend on social media, we're also making ourselves feel really shit about our own lives. And we're just kind of, I think it's worth thinking about what could we actually be, as we kind of watch all these people living their amazing lives on Instagram, what could we actually do with that time that would move our own lives forward? So I just thought it was worth having another conversation about this because I think we all struggle with this, as I say, myself included. And I think it's something that is worth just being really, really mindful of, because when you are scrolling away for the average number of hours that people spend on social media is completely terrifying. I can't even remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's a lot. It is a lot. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. What are your thoughts, Polly?
Yeah, it's I think we probably all spend far too much time on it. So you have to bring in an awareness to your usage and how you're using it, how you want to use it. Is it just to have a little bit of a brain break? Although ironically, apparently it doesn't rest the brain at all. If you want to have a brain break, the best thing to do is to go outside, get some fresh air, have a little bit of stillness. It feels like a brain break, but actually you're still absorbing so much information. And we've got to just always remember what the social media companies' purpose is with social media. Ultimately, in the old days, do you remember? It used to be just an opportunity to connect with your friends and see what your friends were up to. You would just follow your friends, you would see what they're up to, and you thought, "Oh, great, that's great." It's kind of an opportunity to connect. However, the beast has grown, and now the positives are that it allows you to connect with a much wider network. And I think we have to remember the social in the media bit, because it seems to be more just like media, but actually it's called social media, and it can be very social and it can connect you to a whole wide range of people. And so, for example, as you can grow a business, you can find people with the same passions and interests, and you can connect in that way, and it's really powerful. However, that said, you could also consume stuff, because the social media companies are trying to keep us on scrolling on as much as they can. That is all they're interested in, is how much time they can keep us scrolling, so that then they can basically make more money through advertising. That's their aim.
Yeah.
So I think we have to have a real awareness of that. They are doing everything in their power to keep us on that screen. They don't want us to turn it off, which is bloody outrageous. Firstly, I think they need to have some social responsibility. There needs to be things in place to actually say, right. And I think there might be things starting, but still, ultimately, they want us to keep scrolling. So my relationship with it is so varied. I feel at the moment I actually have been posting a lot less than before. And I would say that totally correlates with my consumption. I feel like I am consuming less than I have done for a very long time. And so that then makes me want to post less because I'm not consuming, which means I'm not getting the inspiration because I'm not looking. So, and then I find if I'm consuming more, then I post more. And I do think, I always sort of in the back of my head have, and I say this to my kids, although they don't really do this, you should be creating as much as you're consuming because it's good to be creative, but don't just consume because it makes you feel really shit about yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly then comparing to all these other people. But I think if you're creating, you're putting stuff out there, as hard as that is sometimes, particularly if no one's actually picking it up or giving you anything back, which we all know that feeling, you spend hours creating something and then you get nothing back. It can be really like, oh God, this is so exhausting. So it's a beast. It's a complete beast. And I don't know, for those who've cracked it, amazing.
Yeah.
But I just think for me, I find it very, very difficult to stay consistent with creating and putting stuff out there and not consuming so much.
Yeah.
It's like, and I feel for me, I want to keep my consumption low because I think that's kind of what works for me. However, I'm rambling now, but I'm just kind of what's coming into my. But one that can really curate what you see. So it is. I mean, I still need to. In a way, I would actually quite like to start my Instagram again and really curate it right from the very beginning again, because actually to go back now and keep deleting a lot of people who I follow just feels like, again, more time on social media. But actually, what you see, what you watch, the algorithm obviously is going to keep showing you more of that. So if you are watching things which are really upsetting you or getting you down or not good for your health or making you feel shit about yourself, then it's a real sign you need to change it if you are going to spend time. So yeah, limit your time, curate your feed to what you want. I mean, my kids are hilarious. They won't let me. What was we doing the other day? I don't know, but my daughter was very like, no, you can't look at that on my phone because then I'm going to start seeing things that I want to be seeing. So, but I mean, the youth is a whole different kettle of fish. It's terrifying. I mean, TikTok. I mean, it's terrifying. It's just what's on there. For example, I looked up breath work and breathing on TikTok the other day to see what was being put out there, and the amount of nonsense
Really
being shared and the untruths, and it was just terrifying.
Really.
So yes, I mean, yeah, it's just something I think we have to all be mindful of and set some boundaries for ourselves.
Yeah, totally.
Navigate social media. And I mean, one thing I'm very strict about is not looking at it anywhere near bedtime.
Yeah.
And I try not to first thing in the morning. I try and kind of keep it more to the middle of the day and make it more of a kind of a working relationship, like a work relationship, rather than this is what I do when I'm relaxing.
I will only ever recommend brands that I know, love, and use myself. And one of those is Ancient and Brave. Honestly, they've become part of my daily habits. The very first thing I do every morning is pour myself a big glass of water with their True Hydration in it. It feels like such a simple ritual, but it really sets me up for the day. And I know I'm properly rehydrating with their blend of electrolytes and minerals, especially before I exercise, which I always do in the morning. Then later on, when I make my coffee, I stir in their True Collagen powder into the coffee. Now, it blends in straight away, no fuss, there's no taste, and collagen is something we naturally lose as we age, but it's so important for our skin, joints, and overall vitality. Now, I'll be honest, Ancient and Brave may cost a little more than some of the tubs you'll spot on supermarket shelves, but the difference is you're getting the highest quality ingredients, sourced with integrity and tested to a higher standard, and absolutely no nasties added. That's why I trust them and why I think they're worth every penny. And because I want you to be able to try them out for yourself, I've got a special offer for you. As a listener of this podcast, you can get 20% off your very first order. All you need to do is click the link in the show notes and pop in the code PollyW20 at checkout. They've got more than just collagen and hydration too. They've got creatine, they've got blends, supplements. So it's a perfect chance to explore their range and make the most of that 20% off.
Yeah. I know, it really is it's just such a thing. But funnily enough, speaking of TikTok, I was talking to somebody the other day because a few people have said to me over the last sort of year or so, you really need to get on TikTok. And ironically, following this conversation, I have actually thought about going on TikTok only because I am struggling with Instagram so much. And like you were saying, you can spend God knows how long putting together a reel or a carousel or something, and then it gets crickets. And you're like, why am I putting so much energy into this? And I would just say, anyone out there who, is running a business, I have stopped relying remotely on Instagram, because at the moment, Instagram is the only social media that I use. I have stopped relying on it because we are literally slaves to the algorithm. We have absolutely no control whatsoever. I'm going to give you an example. Yesterday, I had a piece in You magazine for the Mail on Sunday, and I screenshotted it and whacked it up as a post. And I actually hadn't posted for days previous to that. And for some insane reason, it got lots of views. And I don't know why, because it was literally like screenshots, tiny writing that you had to kind of zoom in to be able to read. And for some reason, it got loads of views, more than I normally have. Whereas the whole of my launch for my membership, Thrive Solo, every single thing that I put out got absolutely fuck all. It got really, small number of views, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, my point is that anyone using Instagram for a business sense, of course it can be helpful. But to be honest with you, I find it only the tiniest bit helpful. And actually, I am focusing way more on my email list than I am on Instagram, because you cannot rely on it. You just can't rely on it. You don't know how many people are, like with stories as well. Like, I will put something random on my stories and it'll get loads of views. And then I'll put something else that's much more kind of curated and thought about, which will get absolutely bugger all views on my stories. And it's just like, what am I doing here? I've just started to feel like, why am I wasting my energy on this platform? So going back to what I was saying about TikTok, the reason that I've been thinking, and I'm still thinking about, basically posting what I'm posting on Instagram on TikTok, is because so many people have said to me, you get so much more interaction. Like, my following on Instagram has grown at the most painfully slow rate over the last couple of years. Like, it is painful. It is just painful. I'm like, what am I doing here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
And so,
Lucy, I compared to when I first started my Instagram account, it just seems to have slowed
Yeah.
more, and my stuff just doesn't seem to get out there. It's so funny. TikTok is a funny one. I wasn't actually going to say this, but I was talking to my daughter about TikTok, and she was saying, "Mum, you really should get on TikTok, because there's lots of other middle-aged women on there doing it really well, and you get paid after when you get a certain number. There's a kind of a creator's fee, obviously, to try and keep you to stay on it. So when you get, I don't know, a certain number of views or whatever, you start making an income from it, like small, but anyway. So I agreed. She basically invited me into her world by having this conversation with TikTok, and being a 15-year-old girl, I was like, oh, do you know what? This could be a way for me to connect with my daughter. Because at the moment we need all the help we can get to have a little bit of connection, So actually, I said to her, well, look, Luna, if you set me up an account and you show me how to work it, and you do all the research of what I should post, of what I could do, then I will do it. So when I was away just now on my breathwork retreat in Austria, which is amazing, she said, why don't you do a day in the life of? So I battled with this bloody new app, which I don't really understand how to work. But I did, and I posted my first post. I haven't even looked at, because I just overlook at it, so I haven't actually looked at how it's done. But I did it, So I've decided I'm going to do the odd post. I'm going to get her to tell me what to do, and I'm just going to do it. And just to see. I'm literally doing it for fun. I'm not going to promote it. I'm just going to
Yeah.
see how it works. So it's quite interesting that you say that.
I know, isn't that weird that we're both, well, you're doing it and I'm thinking about doing it. But again, it's going back to what you say about, and I think it's Marie Forleo who says this: create before you consume. And I think that is part of the problem with, well, for me, Instagram, because I don't use anything else. I think that's part of the problem, is that most of us are consuming and not creating. I mean, to give myself credit, I post most days on Instagram, although the last couple of weeks have been absolutely shit. But normally, and in fact, my consumption on Instagram tends to come after or before I post. So when I go into Instagram, that is when I will have a flick through my feed before I then do a post. But one other thing I was going to say about curating feed, because it's something I've talked about a lot on my podcast, what we're consuming. You and I've talked about it in here, and it's so huge. And my Instagram feed is definitely curated so that I only follow a very small number of people. I mean, I say small, like about 160 people, but I think that's really small compared to some people who follow thousands of people on Instagram. So mine is, the people I follow is a relatively small number. But what I've noticed, and this is one of the ways that I think it's starting to take over our minds even more, is that actually these days I will see more random shit on my feed than I see of my followers. So I've noticed that Instagram has started doing that. So actually, yes, you can curate your feed, but whatever, even and mine is curated with like personal growth stuff. It's all sort of inspirational, motivational, educational content, pretty much entirely. But actually, for every one thing I'm seeing of somebody I'm following, I'm seeing 3 of, I will still get completely random shit. Like, I think it was yesterday, I got a fucking Kylie Jenner reel or post. So I was like, why am I being shown Kylie Jenner? I don't follow anyone who is remotely related to her or her kind of content. And I will get completely random stuff. So the problem with it is that actually, it really does come down to our own willpower to know when to stop scrolling. But the major problem with that is it is designed to be addictive. And you're like, just one more reel. Because I can do that, where I go down an Instagram hole for 45 minutes and then I literally want to kind of purge myself because I feel so disgusted. I'm like, oh God, you know what I mean? And then I kind of come back to sort of flick back into reality. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? So we have to be really, really, really mindful of what is happening. And actually, one thing I think is worth thinking about is, if you find yourself going down an Instagram hole and doom scrolling, one thing that I find really works for me is to just imagine the zombie look on my face as I sit there scrolling. That zombie look that people get on their faces is so disturbing to me. You see people, you only have to look at people on the bus, on the tube, or in restaurants, that you know that zombie look that we get when we're scrolling. So try and picture what your face actually looks like when you are scrolling, because I think that makes you want to get off it. But it really, it really is so incredibly hard. But the other thing about it that we have to be mindful of is we really do have to remind ourselves that it is deliberately addictive. So we are deliberately being drawn into the next and the next and the next and the next. Just one more reel, one more reel, one more reel, one more reel. So we have to bring that mindfulness ourselves, because Instagram or TikTok or whoever sure isn't going to help us with that. And it might mean that you have to set yourself an alarm. So you literally have an alarm after, 20 minutes. However, maybe say to yourself, I'm only going to allow myself half an hour on this app a day. And when you go into it to consume, set yourself an alarm. And when that alarm goes off, get the fuck out. Because otherwise, I really think it's so important to realize how we are losing hours and hours of our lives to these apps. We are literally losing hours of our lives, not to mention brain cells, not to mention losing our focus, losing our ability to pay attention to anything, because we're getting so used to these kind of short everybody, you have to grab somebody's attention in the first 3 seconds. So in so many ways, it is just not good for us. And I really feel like it's just getting worse. This is not getting better. It's getting worse and worse and worse. So we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And this sort of attention economy that we're living in, it's like there are so many things trying to pull our attention in this direction and that direction. And on Instagram, you can be scrolling away and you'll come across a reel of somebody you don't know. And then, if you're anything like me, if I'm in the kind of doom scrolling mode, I will jump over onto somebody's page. And before I know it, 20 minutes will have gone past. And I've been scrolling through someone's what's it called? Grids, somebody's feed. And I don't even know this person. I literally didn't know that. It's honestly, it's so disturbing. So just remember that as you are scrolling through somebody else's life, that is stopping you from living your own goddamn life. So think about what could you do with the time that you're using on Instagram to start creating the life that you actually want to live, rather than constantly living your life through other people's lives on Instagram. Because I really believe that for the vast majority of us, we don't feel good when we come off Instagram. You don't feel proud of yourself for having spent an hour and a half scrolling through random reels. And like you were saying at the beginning, it's actually not resting our brain, because it's just, we're going from one thing to the next to the next. It's the opposite of relaxation. It might feel like it's relaxing, but it's actually not. What it's doing to our brains is not relaxing. And also, when you're on social media or on screens first thing in the morning, and Polly, you might know more about this than I do, but we're doing something to our dopamine, aren't we? We're literally using up all of our dopamine in that when we're scrolling so much that we don't have. We run out of our dopamine stores as the day goes on in a way that we really shouldn't, and that we weren't before social media was invented. Do you know anything else about that?
No, I don't actually.
I keep meaning to read that book, Dopamine Nation. I'm desperate to read it. I really, it's been on the top of my list for months and months and months.
Network as well.
I've seen that. Yeah, that was a Netflix documentary, wasn't there?
Yes, there was another one. Social Anxiety. No, I can't remember. There's another one.
Is there?
But yeah, I mean, it is literally, and also, I mean, if you just think about the posture that we all have when you're scrolling, your head's down, it's just all of it is making us more. It's called social media, but actually, it's making us so much more insular. We're spending with these people on a screen rather than being out and spending time. And there are, let's not all be doom and gloom. There are positives about it. There are, in terms of bringing people together and sharing great work and great skills, but it's just about having a level of self-control. I think that's the most important thing, and most of us don't, because of the way it's designed. It's very, 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 very difficult. And it is. I really worry for the young people, because they don't know any different. It's the way that they have evolved, and they're with. I mean, my 20-year-old will go, I'm just going to go and have a little doom scroll. That's what he'll say, because for him, that's, see what's going on. But I'm always like, well, was that, what are you taking away from that experience that you just had? What's the learning? What are you taking away? And there's really, if you're not taking anything away from it, it's like, well, it really isn't doing you any good whatsoever. You might have a bit of a laugh. You might be able to relay perhaps some facts or some information, or a bit of a laugh with somebody else about something you saw. But fine, in small little nuggets. But it's just about being mindful that it's not wasting so much time. I get so frustrated when I'm really busy and I've got stuff to do, and then I've suddenly realised I've been pulled in for I don't know, half an hour, an hour, just by as you say, you just get onto a thing, and you that's it.
But it's what's so disturbing. It's almost like, I find anyway, and I think this is another thing to be mindful of. It's almost like you go into a trance. You actually go into a trance, and that in itself is really disturbing. I heard, I wish I could remember. I was talking to my brother about this the other day, but I wish I could remember whether it was a podcast. I can't remember. I heard someone talking about, and this isn't just social media, this is just about screens in general. But I heard somebody talking about the fact that, and this was somebody, again, I just can't remember, but it was somebody, I think somebody has a podcast. And anyway, he had a conversation with like a 19-year-old guy, and he had been asking this 19-year-old about his sort of phone usage. And this 19-year-old had described that how when his phone dies, so when his phone runs out of batteries, he literally feels the life force draining out of him. And until that phone lights up again, until that phone is back, lit up in his hand working, he doesn't feel alive. So literally this teenager was talking about how that is the feeling when his phone runs out of battery, so he can no longer look at his phone, look at Instagram, look at WhatsApp. Or he literally said that he felt his life force draining out of him. Now, this is a fucking problem, and I think that it's not restricted to teenagers, because I can also relate to that. When my phone runs out, it's like, oh God, if I'm out and about and I don't have any way of charging my phone and my phone's going to run out, I feel that panic. Now, just the pure fact that we are that addicted to these screens, again, we have to take responsibility for what is happening to us. And we can go, oh yeah, but it's the screen's fault. Well, yeah, fine, but actually only we can take responsibility for that. So we have to bring awareness to that, and decide whether we want to do something about that or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the issue is because everything now is controlled with your phone. Even if you're going to go and park your car, you need to have your phone to be able to pay for the parking, or you have to have it for everything. So I think you have to be careful. So where do you put your apps? Is it like a home screen? Where do you put your social media apps, I should say?
Yeah.
So is it on the home screen? Is it so easy and accessible? Actually, can you make it a little bit harder for you to find it, so you're not instantly going, oh, I'll just go on, oh, I'm paying for my parking, oh, let's have a quick look. Because it's easily done. You just kind of, first thing in the morning, oh, I was going to see what's going on. You need to make it harder for yourself, and you need to decide. You've got to put some boundaries in place. You've just got to put some boundaries in place. But it's easier said than done. We're all human. We're all getting sucked in. But I have found recently that I've really pulled away from it, and it makes me a lot. I don't miss it. I really don't miss it. But then, if I'm promoting something, or I will probably come back to it, and actually, I love sharing photographs and experiences. That I love doing, and actually, I think people like to see what you've been up to, and I like seeing what friends are doing and pictures of lovely places. So it's just really being mindful of who you're following, what you're doing. I mean, it's the same old message, really, isn't it?
Yeah. One thing is, I think it's worth asking yourself is, how would it make you feel if somebody said, I'm taking your phone away for 2 days? Because that fills me with panic. I don't know about you, Polly, but it fills me with panic.
I actually would really love that.
Yeah. See, well, lucky, really though. Because if somebody said to me, I'm taking your phone away for 2 days, I'd be like, what do you mean? And I mean, good on you if you genuinely don't feel like that. But I do.
It depends what I was doing. I think I would. I mean, it would be really frustrating because there's lots of things you can't do nowadays without a phone. But in terms of not looking at social media, I really wouldn't miss that. In terms of, I mean, for me, it would be the panic of not being able to contact with my family. That would give me the panic, because we don't really have a home phone or anything like that.
Yeah, same here. It's exactly the same with me. I have a panic.
That would give me a little bit of a panic.
Yeah.
But I'm quite good when I'm away. And like just now, I've been away for 4 days on this retreat in Austria. I posted pictures, but I barely looked at social media at all. I posted pictures in my stories, and that was kind of it. And I've just loved it. I love not being connected to the world in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So I know I can do it. I think it's when boredom sets in. I think it's when you might be really stressed about something. It's an easy sort of distraction. So it's about, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it would be a really interesting experiment, Lucy.
Yeah.
to see.
See, I don't even think for me it's not even about boredom. For me it's much more like it's like an addiction.
Yeah.
You know, I never get bored. Like I just never get bored. It's just not a state
No,
that
I don't really get bored. Yeah, it is.
But do you know? I think it's more than. I mean, I'm sure for some people when they get bored, you know, yes, they reach for their phone to have a scroll. But my point is that I think it's bypassed boredom. It's a lot more than just being about something to distract you. I think it is a full on addiction that we have to our phones.
Yes, but if you're so, I mean, I get really annoyed with my family members if you are, say, I go out for a drink with one of them, and I go to the bathroom, and then they come, you come back, and immediately someone's back, looking on their phone. They can't wait without scrolling, or if you're waiting for
In a queue.
bus, or you're in a queue, it's like get the phone out and scroll.
I know.
And it's a bit like, you don't need to, you just be here. You just look around you. Just be in this moment. You don't need to stroll. But I think the problem is everyone is so addicted to that. They just can't be in that moment. It's they need the distraction. It's the addiction, isn't it? Pulling it.
And like any addiction, you don't have control over it.
Yeah.
You don't, I mean, I frighten myself by how many times my hand just goes to pick up my phone for absolutely no reason during the day. And in fact, I try and plug it, because basically I try and plug it in on the other side of the room when I'm working at my desk. I'll plug it in where I can't reach it, because if it is sat on my desk, my hand will go for that phone. I mean, I'm not kidding you. Like every couple of minutes, like I will just pick it up. It's and that's what I mean. It's so much more than, it truly is an addiction.
Yeah.
And I think it's just worth just noticing how much you do that without even thinking about it. How often are you reaching for your phone and you're not, it's not intentional, it's not conscious. You are just reaching for that phone just to pick it up. Did I miss a notification? That's the other thing I don't have on my phone is notifications. So I don't have things coming up all the time on my phone, like Instagram notifications. I've switched them all off. So I actually have to go into the app to see if I've got, a message or whatever.
Me too.
Anyway, God, we've gone over. It's 9:32. Oh my God.
Well,
it's one of those topics that
it is a
minefield.
Exactly. It really is, and it's something which is going to be ongoing, and something we have to just be just bringing to front of mind and having an awareness about, so that it, to ensure that we protect ourselves from it more than anything. Yeah.
All right, love. Well, look, have a good day, and we'll be back here next Monday.
We will. All right,
love. Speak to you later.
Bye,
love. Bye.